to Osei Can You See CTV Society. This is a live show. This is Wednesday, June 15th. C is a live show that airs the first and the third and the fifth Wednesday of every month. We are a live call-in show, so we're going to do the show tonight on Enbridge, Line 5, also other lines in Michigan and the northern states here. So if it's also streaming, so if you guys have any questions or comments, call in anytime. I'll take questions anytime. Our call-in number is 616-459-4881. Okay, let's go to the PowerPoint presentation here. Okay, look at this map here because we're going to come back to it. What you see highlighted there is counties up in northern Michigan, and of course the counties down below are Genesee County where Flint is, Calhoun County where Tallmadge Creek is, and then the other counties, Detroit. I'm not too familiar with that side of the street and I don't know the name of the counties, but thank you. You went to school there. Yeah.
Wayne, he said Wayne.
Wayne County.
Okay. Thank you. These are the townships, counties. There's some tribal areas, local governments that would be immediately affected by an oil spill in the Straits by Enbridge Line 5. Let me go to the PowerPoint here. Excuse me 1 minute. Did it go out?
Oh. Please stand by.
Well, there's the darn pipe. So John, you were telling me that this is Canadian oil, comes through the UP, under the Mackinac Bridge, down and then under the Detroit River, and then back to Canada.
It
comes from Canada and goes back to Canada.
It goes from Canada through the UP, and then into the lower peninsula, and then it goes over to Sarnia, back under the St. Clair River, and then 90% of the oil is used in Ontario and
Yes,
and Quebec.
5% of it, or 10% of it is split between Ohio, Toledo, and Michigan.
Right. Most of it goes to Marathon. What stays in the States is Marathon Oil in Detroit.
Right. Now, before that, some of the kerosene and natural gas liquids stop in Escanaba, and sometimes they use
85% of the UP is heated with Line 5.
But
Before it goes under the bridge.
Right.
Exactly.
So where does it cross? It's to St. Marie?
Yeah.
Right at the Straits, kind of parallel west of the Mackinac Bridge. Runs about 4.7 miles, and it's 120 feet deep. Okay, this line was built in 1953. The people who built it and designed it said it had a lifespan of 50 years, so that was 63 years ago. Let me see, now there is they wanted the pipeline shut down. There is a new agreement, I guess, with Enbridge and the state of Michigan, because this is Michigan's property. They have an easement agreement with us. They're allowed to run that pipeline through the Straits. I guess they pay taxes.
$22 million a year in taxes.
Okay, is that for just Line 5, or is that for all?
That's all Michigan.
All of the pipelines that run through?
All the pipelines.
All the pipelines, yeah.
Well, it's they did find that it is corroded in a couple places. One is due to a manufacturer's defect. Well, a couple of them, because what they found out that one of the lines It was either line 4 or line 2, one of the lines that runs from Alberta down to Calgary, I guess, or down to Lake Superior. It was designed and made the same year, and they found out that it had a manufacturing defect. So even though the pipes are 1 inch thick in some places,
Under the Straits, they're 1 inch thick.
yes, but in some places, they may be a lot thinner.
Yeah, well, Schedule 40 is standard, so probably half that.
What's Schedule 40?
So that's what they call regular pipe, Schedule 40, and then Schedule 80 is like really heavy duty, high pressure.
Okay. This is John Schweitzer. He is a chemical engineer, and he worked with pipes a long time. He's mostly in our control room, but today we finally got him out here to help us out. And this is Steve Durst, longtime CTV member. Say hi.
And I don't know anything about pipes, so I'm here to ask questions. These are iron pipes?
Yeah, steel.
Steel.
And the steel was made specially for this pipe run.
Oh, just for this one.
Yep.
Okay.
And there's 2 pipes that go under the Straits. It's a 30-inch pipe that comes along the UP, and then it goes into 2 20-inch pipes under the Straits. They're about 1,000 feet apart.
But you were saying it wasn't even necessary anymore, since the new pipe that they put in to replace the old pipe that spilled into the Kalamazoo River and caused so much trouble a few years ago, can handle the load. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to even
doesn't,
come that
no.
way. Is this just a slap in our face? Is to say, hey, we're going to do it anyway. We don't care what the risk is.
Well, what Enbridge is saying is they will break. They might buckle. They might get a leak in it. Somebody called in and said, will the pipes break? If they buckle, they will break and we will leak a lot of oil. Okay, but we'll get to that picture. I've got a picture for that, what that looks like in a minute. Okay, and what was your question again?
Do they need it?
Yeah, since they don't even need it, why would they so provoke us with it? It's like they have complete impunity to any democratic oversight in terms of the risks they're going to take. If this does or inevitably will happen, they must believe they're going to be making more money than any fines that might come from whatever efforts it takes to will be insufficient to clean up Lake Huron and Lake Michigan. It's an absolute disaster. Now, barely waiting to happen. It's so inevitable. They admit it's inevitable. Why do they do it if not to say to us, we are the power and what you want doesn't matter?
This is what happened with line 6B, the one that spilled into Talmadge Creek. They knew 5 years before the spill. They knew in 2005. The spill was in July of 2010. They knew the line was compromised and something was going to happen. And here is the reason why the National Wildlife Federation is suing the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Association, which I think is a branch of one of the federal agencies, the EPA. Is because what that Pipeline and Hazard Materials Agency kept doing inspections and say, we've got this, and you say, well, you have 180 days to fix that, which with a pipeline, doesn't that seem like a ridiculous amount of time? 180 days to fix
That's half a year, that's 6 months.
problem with a pipeline. So what happens is, I think what happens is that this agency relies on the oil companies to do their own inspections. And what's happening with line 5 is that they are actually classified as a inshore pipeline. And they have certified that their cleanup policy, their cleanup plan would be great. It would be fine. They approved it. Yes, your cleanup policy is fine, even though up in the UP they're 200 feet from Lake Superior, and under the Straits, the pipeline is very old.
Yeah.
So today, I just saw the article. It just came out today that the Senate is starting to do, they passed something and the president's going to sign it. There's going to be more scrutiny. So it might happen that this pipeline will be classified not as a inshore pipeline, but as an offshore pipeline.
Yes, I heard that. Which means that it would have to meet higher standards,
It would have to meet higher standards, correct.
and they'll have 180 days to fix it. If they ever come around to saying that this is the case and this is how it has to be. And meanwhile, Enbridge will be literally working with the Hazardous Chemicals Association to prevent there from being any effective oversight. This is the pattern. These oil companies infiltrate these regulatory commissions. They bribe people, use prostitution and drugs, and this has happened quite a bit. This is not a new thing. The whole regulatory culture has been taken over bit by bit since the Reagan era. So the government watchdog is really the lapdog of the corporations that's supposed to be watching.
Right, and we heard about this. The EPA screwed up in Flint, and the EPA, there was a guy that was actually getting paid by the oil companies, and he worked for the fracking industry. What happened? He managed the samplers for the methane, and none of these, they're tested at every part of the fracking process and delivery system, and none of the samplers were reading the correct methane output, and he knew this, and it's just now coming out now that there has been a lot more methane discharged than they had measured.
Yeah, that's a good example of this sort of thing. And the disasters are happening all the time. Shell just spilled big time in the Gulf of Mexico, and in these big rains that they've been having in Texas, that water runs across the flats of around Houston, and fracking chemicals have just flown right through the city, and the poor neighborhoods have just coated the ground with chemicals. Iridium is in the water in North and South Dakota from all the fracking. Iridium. I mean, these sorts of things are going to end up killing a lot more people than the latest gunman. I'm not saying that this wasn't a tragedy, but I'm saying we're living in a nation of tragedy, in a time of tragedy, and our political system, the media, everything is failing us at a critical time.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to get to the Enbridge Line 6B and how that accident actually happened. This is a picture of Line 6B after it was dug up. On the night of Sunday, July 25th, 2010, there was a rupture. And what happened is they had a scheduled shutdown of the pumps. And when they started it up again, they heard alarms in the control room. And I guess that wasn't uncommon, but then they shut it down and turned it back on and still heard alarms. They went to their supervisor, the supervisor said, oh, that's just a bubble, an air bubble, put more pressure through.
Ooh.
And so they never checked, they never called the area around there, Marshall or Calhoun County, and said, is there anything funny going down at that area? They just, so they did it 3 or 4 times in a period of 17 hours. So That oil was leaking out of that tank for 17 hours from 5 o'clock Sunday night to 10 o'clock the next morning. What happened is they started calling into 911, the people who lived around that creek. About 3 hours after, about 8 o'clock, 8:30, they started calling 911. Calhoun County came out, Calhoun Public Health Department came out and started doing air quality testing, because what this pipe, 6B, that was built in 1969, and that was built after Line 5. And that pipe was designed for heavy crude. That was tar sands oil. And what goes through that pipe is called dilbit, diluted bitumen. And the chemicals they put in that to dilute the tar sands oil is
Pentane, heavy pentane.
no, what's that one they use in fracking? Benzene?
Benzene.
Benzene and sodium, no, hydrochlor something. Well, anyway, all very toxic chemicals. Calhoun County came in and said the air quality was really, really bad. People should get out of their houses. And then when the EPA came in, they said, oh no, the air quality is okay. And then Enbridge came in the next day and tested the air quality, and they said the air quality was okay. How come the first Calhoun County said it was bad, and then EPA and Enbridge said it was bad? So what happened is that between 800,000 gallons and 1 million gallons spilled into Talmadge Creek, which runs right into the Kalamazoo River. There's a lot of areas here where it was, this right here is a picture of line 6B. It runs north. It runs from Griffith, where the pump station is, all the way up to Sarnia, where it meets where line 5 is, I guess. This, as you see these red parts in the Kalamazoo River, this is where the oil has sunk underneath the river, underneath the ground. And what happened is that, I'm going to play a clip, actually. There was an Enbridge employee that I met. He actually lives, he's from Battle Creek. And he was told to cover up the oil with canvas and grass and throw the oil into the woods. Their first estimate of the cleanup was $5 million. They said, Enbridge said, oh, it's going to cost $5 million to clean up this spill. Well, then it got to be 37 million, and then 47 million, and then it got higher and higher. So far, it's been $1.2 billion to clean.
$1,000. That's $1,000 per gallon.
Thank you.
Wow. And Enbridge is paying this.
Yeah.
Enbridge actually bought the houses around Talmadge Creek because I guess the groundwater, that property is not worth anything now.
That whole stream system is now uninhabitable forever.
It's got that heavy oil laying on the bottom.
The oil gets into the ground bit. And this is not light crude. This is heavy. This is tar sands oil. This was the first tar sands oil spill. And so we had people come in from North Dakota, Montana, Texas, where the Keystone Pipeline is, and they wanted to see what a tar sands oil. They were very upset.
It just doesn't make any sense. Why would they take such a risk that costs them so much money?
Yeah.
It's like alien parasites have taken over their brains and make them want to destroy the world, like in that movie.
They don't have the same values we have.
Apparently not.
They value the money.
They're selling out the earth and the water from underneath unborn feet forever. And
The whole reason why we never took global warming seriously was because
they were going to kill us before that
we
anyway.
wanted money for the
That's right. Money's more important than people.
industry.
This is the whistleblower who got beat up a couple times and arrested a couple times.
Can you make it louder?
Yeah, are they going to be able to hear this?
There you go.
Enbridge cover-up. Last July, a pipeline owned by Enbridge ruptured in Marshall, sending hundreds of thousands of gallons of oil into West Michigan's waterways. Now a former Enbridge employee is blowing the whistle on the company, accusing it of covering up oil. Tonight he takes us to some of those areas he claims are still soaking in the gas. News 3's Eric Baskerville takes the whistleblower's concerns to Enbridge, and he's live now in the studio with this cleanup controversy. Aaron.
Judy, Enbridge is firmly standing behind its policy, saying it's following the right procedures set forth by the EPA when it comes to cleanup. The company says some oil will be left behind right now because removing it could cause more damage, but one former worker is doing everything possible to get his story out there. The creek's right over here. A former worker blowing the whistle on Enbridge takes News Channel 3 on a tour of sites he claims still have oil, but the company is not coming back to clean up. John Bolenball still finds ice packed with oil and is making strong accusations against the company.
They were trying to meet deadlines. So what they would tell us to do is take dirt, put it over the top of the oil. They were telling us to take mud with oil and throw it into the woods. They were telling us to rake dirt over the top of oil.
And he says because he wouldn't do those things, he was fired in October after 2 months on cleanup operations. But Bolenball believes the so-called smoking gun is near Talmadge Creek and Ground Zero in Marshall.
Because I just wanted to prove that this is all oil.
That's
It is
disgusting.
all oil. This is not mud. Mud will freeze. But they put this canvas over the top of it. This is just plain old canvas. They put grass seed underneath it, and then what's supposed to happen is the grass will grow through.
He's accusing Enbridge of using a coconut matting to cover up obvious oil, with the company having no thoughts of ever cleaning these areas up. The project director was scheduled to go out to the site with us, but said a significant issue came up, so we showed him our video.
No, that is not oil, that's sediment. Now, whether or not that sediment is contaminated, I can't tell from the video, but the video, the individual is not knee-deep in oil. It's obvious that this was taken in a wetland area where the sediment is saturated with water. It's mud. That's what he's standing in, is mud.
But you can't tell because they got this canvas over the top of it. This is just canvas. See this? They put this over this entire area. It's all canvas. They plant grass underneath of it. The grass will pop through. They'll say it's marshland. They tried to say this winter. But listen, oil does not freeze. And I could walk every single place in a swamp, everywhere. You can drive a truck over most places. But if there's oil there, you're going to do this in the middle of the winter. This is all oil. Okay? See how deep I am? My whole leg is buried. It's not easy to get out, but this grass is covering it up for you. Alright? I'm just telling you that's here. It's gonna get in your walls. This is the truth. These companies are evil. It's October 9th. I just showed you the coordinates. We're at Talmadge Creek, and I'm gonna just show you that they put sand over the top of the oil. Can you see how clear it is? You can see right down to the bottom. Looks really clear. I'm gonna take some sand. Show you real close up. This is the sand. Alright? See there's no sheen? The reason why that's important is because when I dig down, the oil is underneath the sand. See it coming up? It's under the sand. It's not in the sand, it's under the sand that they put there. Massive amount. That's disgusting. Alright? Look at how much oil that they buried. Look at how much they're digging out. Because of my complaint. This area right here is the area I showed. Look at how much they're digging out. They buried all this oil, and now because of my videos, they're redigging
My
it
name's Ben
out.
Gonchel. I
live in Lincoln, Nebraska right now. I grew up on a ranch in Hope County, Nebraska in the Sandhills, and the Keystone XL pipeline is going to come through the Sandhills. And so I came here to Michigan to see what a tar sands oil spill would look like. And what I found out is that it's far worse than I could have imagined. What we have here is lies. The extent of the damage here is far worse than Enbridge said it was, and the extent of the cleanup is far more inadequate than they could ever even explain. What we have here is a cover-up of intense magnitude. This is a crime. This is a crime against nature. It's a crime against humanity, and we do not want something like this going through the Sandhills, Nebraska. No amount of oil is worth it. We can't risk our land and water for this. We can't do that. And I'm going to do everything I can to stop that from happening.
My name is Adrian Van Dellen. I live in East Texas, where the Keystone XL pipeline is proposed to be constructed. It would cross 6 river channels and many bogs, sloughs, and bayous, wetlands, similar to what I've witnessed here in Marshall, Michigan. I somewhat imagined what it might be like if we had a spill in East Texas, but the magnitude of what I've seen here is beyond imagination. I'm just stunned by what you're showing us, John. The cover-up is beyond reality. How they can consciously do this is beyond imagination. It's unconscionable to Washington. Well, President Obama says we need to push him. We're going to push him. And if we have every chance, any chance we can, we will talk to the press about what we've seen here. John, you're doing a wonderful job. Keep it up. God bless you. Don't give up.
Okay, I want to remind our audience we're live and we are accepting phone calls. Our number is 616-459-4881. So if you want to come in and make a comment, you call in and ask a question or make a comment, go ahead. Any questions, guys?
There's about 20% of the oil that they didn't remove? Is that what the...
We're not for sure, but I mean, the question becomes, did Enbridge try to hide the oil so they could avoid cleaning it up? Obviously. Here is a picture. What happened is that some scientists and some engineers did a study, and at University of Michigan, let me get out of the way here.
Oh, you're out in the way.
Get out of the way.
Okay, good. Let me get the.
But that orange is a plume, a simulation of the plume of oil that would leak from the pipe crossing.
From that 5-mile pipe.
It would be even worse.
That would be like if the whole Kalamazoo River spill was dumped into the Straits. About 25,000 barrels, or a million gallons.
So,
1 million gallons, that would be 1 million gallons. Would that kill Lake Huron?
well, it's what happened is they put together about 700 or so computer simulations, depending on what time of year, how much oil got into it, the way the currents are going. In most of the scenarios, it's Lake Huron, and what's going to be affected is 700 miles of shoreline and 1,700 square miles of open water. So practically, that's most of Lake Huron right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so, if you look at that map of the counties and townships that passed a resolution I showed, those are the only counties that have passed a resolution that we want Line 5 shut down. I guess I'm surprised that this area, West Michigan, Lake Michigan, nobody has.
It looks like it would even destroy the Grand Traverse Bay. It seems like those people
yeah.
have enough money and enough lawyers to be worried about it.
Traverse City passed the resolution, yes, as well too. Well, it would, what would happen? I mean, the water supply, the intake water that we get from Lake Michigan, it's not designed to filter out oil.
Right.
It's not designed to filter out any oil, and if oil does get into the water intake, it's ruined. So in our water tanks, what do we have? 3 or 4 days of water total. That's how much we would have, and then, so what does that look like? That looks like Flint times 100, right?
There's still slant drilling going on under the Great Lakes too. The Great Lakes are definitely in peril, not just from invasive species, but from human beings mainly, obviously.
Oh yeah, I didn't know they were doing slant drilling. I've heard of that, but I thought they had stopped that.
I could be wrong. I thought it was still going on.
Yeah, then all the wildlife and fish would be destroyed up there. I'm just
The beaches would be worthless in terms of any kind of tourism. Michigan's economy would be absolutely destroyed, what's left of it.
Yes, tourism is one of Michigan's major economic, that's a way we make a lot of our money, and it would just be ruined. And I think those people who live in northern Michigan in that area, these aren't Flint people. These are people with properties that are worth a lot of money, and they would lose a lot of money. And I guess I'm kind of surprised that the whole state hasn't joined them.
It's kind of ironic that pure Michigan is our motto, and here we are with this.
Well, let's talk about our governor. Let's talk about fracking. Let's talk about how this is a problem of democracy. Apparently, we just do not have the clout that it takes to rein in these companies and say, your profits are not worth the risk you're putting us at. The profits are always privatized, but the risks and the problems are socialized.
Yeah.
Socialism for the rich, we've called it before. They make the money, and we get the problem. And
Yeah.
we can't seem to stand up and do anything about it. I mean, I was thinking about this today. I mean, the Russians stood up to a totalitarian Soviet empire eventually, and it collapsed. Some people say, oh, that's just because it wasn't profitable anymore, and they wanted to go bankrupt in a way. Well, I guess that's sort of what happened. What if Enbridge just created such a spill that cost so much money, they just go bankrupt and the shareholders would walk away with their money, It's all hiding in the Cayman Islands, et cetera, too. This is an intolerable situation, and every day new tragedies are unfolding, both socially, environmentally, and politically. We are really at a breaking point, people. This cannot go on much longer.
Call in and asked, how do people not know about this? Maybe because of the mainstream media.
Well, NPR reports a little bit on it, and they always mention, and Enbridge is one of our major contributors. Koch brothers, too.
Oh, God. Jeez.
I mean, just as the regulatory system is infiltrated and compromised and bribed and neutralized, so is the media.
Yeah. So what I understand is that the locks in the Seaway and the North Channel, they're out of date, they're in bad condition, they're too small for the ships that are coming in. So Enbridge is going to be one of the contributors to updating the locks. And that's what one of the people told me is why they're keeping Enbridge on the hook here.
Well, that's another thing. If the locks were to break down, apparently our economy would also be destroyed. But, so Enbridge is going to sponsor fixing the locks, the Sault Ste.
That's
Marie
one of the
locks?
rumors, yeah.
To me-
But the thing is, Bill Schuette, the Attorney General, he has the authority to just say, go away. I mean, you're in violation. Here is a list of the violations under the easement.
Mark, go to camera 2. Oh, you got it. You got it.
Like standard of care. Enbridge has, it's hard to see on the screen, but I can brief you a little bit on this. Standard of care, prudent person. Enbridge told us that line 5 will last forever and it's like new. Well, that's just crazy and stupid. So that's a violation. The indemnity provision, the insurance company for Enbridge originally put down $1 million if anything went wrong. Well, it's still $1 million.
And it costs $1 billion for
Yes.
the Kalamazoo River cleanup.
Yes, $1 billion. So,
And this would be
$1,000.
worse,
yeah.
because the oil would be everywhere.
Real fast.
Yeah.
Within days.
The pipeline wall thickness provisions, it's supposed, I guess it's supposed to be 1 inch, and it's not 1 inch in some places. Exterior slats and coating requirements, when they first did the pipeline, it had that black coating on it.
Right, it had fiber and a coating. Right?
That's been worn away by zebra mussels.
Oh, lovely.
Right. Well, in 1953, we didn't have zebra mussels, right? So that was something. Looks like edge. I want to remind people at home, it's a call-in show. We're live. We're talking about Enbridge Line 5 under the Straits of Mackinac. Our phone number is 616-459-4881.
So because of these known violations, Schuette could legally just shut them down.
We could legally.
And furthermore, they don't even need the pipeline.
Right. Yeah. If it was supposed to last for 50 years, it's been more than 50 years.
For one thing,
So he could just say, shut it down.
The contract said they're supposed to have supports every 75 feet. In a lot of places, they don't have it. And so some parts it's curving.
it would buckle.
It would buckle.
And if it buckles, it will break.
If it buckles, it would break, yep. Then there's the oil, the federal violation of the emergency oil spill response plan, and the state violation under the Michigan EPA. That's where they give a oil if there is a spill, this is what we're going to do, and that pipeline and hazardous material agency approved it. If we have those winters like we did a couple of years ago, everything.
Ice is over.
Yeah, it gets up to 3.5 feet thick. We do have Coast Guard icebreakers, but they can't really do anything. They're just there to make sure that the ships behind them get through okay, right? They can't really break up. So if an oil spill happened in the middle of January or February, you know,
It
that's
would be under the
It'd be
ice.
under the ice and it
it
would
would-
spread out. And it takes 3 hours. The fastest response is 3 hours. If there was a break, they wouldn't be able to get anybody out there for 3 hours. And then probably it would be more like 6 hours.
How susceptible is it to not terrorism, sabotage? Say an enemy wanted to absolutely cripple the economy of the Great Lakes, for instance. How hard would it be for them to break that pipe?
Well, you really wouldn't even have to go in the Straits to do it. There are places along this Lake Superior where the pipeline's only 200 feet from the lake. So if you cut it there, you put a little, blow it up right there, you could just, you could start to fill the Lake Superior from not even at the Straits.
Well, the oil companies are all really upset that the price of gas is down so low. apparently fracking has decreased the price of gas, but a major disaster would raise the price back up, and they've been saying that's what they want. So sort of like the first Gulf War when Saddam Hussein said, well, if I invade Kuwait, he said to our ambassador, that might raise the price of gas. And April Gillespie for George Bush I said, oh, well, there are a lot of people in our country who wouldn't mind seeing the price of gas go up.
Well, there wouldn't be
other
enough
words,
oil to change the supply.
The price.
A million gallons is just a drop in the bucket compared to what? 450 million gallons.
It might
Right.
close
Go
down.
every day.
And if only 5% to between 5 and 10% stay in the state, most of it goes back to Ontario.
Yeah, that's true. So Michigan we'd still have cheap gas for our cars, but there wouldn't be any point in driving to the lake.
Oh, phew. Yeah,
We could watch the sunset. It's very iridescent this time of year. How romantic.
Okay, this is a live call-in show, 616-459-4881. You can call in with your comments or questions. Well, we can talk about the organizations that gave us all this information that we have. Also kind of influential in getting the I guess the bill that passed the Congress today, introduced by Bill Peters and Debbie Stabenow, to declassify that as an inshore pipeline and an outshore, make it an offshore pipeline. So, I
guess we could give credit to Gary Peters and Debbie Stabenow on that.
yeah. Oil and water don't mix. That's a Food and Water Watch, or maybe it's an independent. That's a lot where we got a lot of this information. There's also one based out of Traverse City called For Love of Water, or FLOW, and then also Food and Water Watch, and there's some other organizations, and you can find those online.
So it looks like we could protest as much as we want, but we can't expect much to change. And if it does, it changes very slowly.
Yep. Very slowly.
Whereas if the disaster happens, it happens very quickly.
So we need to write our congressman?
Well, I was wondering if anybody. Do we have a phone call?
No,
Oh.
call the Congress.
And if Bill Schuette, the Attorney General, has the authority to just say no more, go away, why is it only the counties and the local governments that are immediately affected? It's also Flint, and it's also Calhoun County where Marshall is, and they're not close to Line 5, but they've had an experience. And here in West Michigan, it's like nobody, not Ottawa County, not Newaygo County, not the county above that, not Kent County, not any of the counties have passed a resolution. It's only those counties that are immediately affected.
It would be a disaster for the state, and it's clear Bill Schuette wants to be governor.
He wants to be governor, right? So,
I guess it's the Attorney General that we should be putting pressure on, but I guess your representatives could put more pressure on him.
right. If more counties and more cities pass the resolution, if a majority in the state, then that would force his hand, right? He would have to do something.
So how about a boycott of Marathon, since they're the ones who are taking the 5% of the oil coming through here?
Okay.
Well, it supplies, there's oil coming in from the south. There's
but I mean,
all over.
yeah, but it's still
Fishing
Marathon that has the relationship
Right.
with this pipeline.
Right.
So I mean, there's a political response is probably the best, But it seems to me that these corporations keep doing things as long as there's any profit. As long as the profit's going to outweigh any penalty they might have to pay for the risk that they're taking. They're always calling themselves, we're the risk takers, yeah. But they're risking us for their profit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Marathon, I don't know. I don't buy gasoline. I don't know if Marathon is selling gas to the bus company or how. It's like we have so few ways of doing people accountable, and when somebody is held accountable, they just move them out of the way and put someone else there who's has a clean slate and can get away with it, or they change the name of the company, like Blackwater changed its name to S.E.E.
Yeah.
And Prince moved to Dubai so that he wouldn't have to face murder charges and things like that.
Well, I did hear that Minnesota is having its own problems with the line running through that state. The Lakota, I think the Lakota are in Canada and also in northern Minnesota. I had a map here. Oh, I don't have it anymore. Anyway, it's some of the I think it's the Alberta Clipper line that's running through northern Minnesota, and it's running through some of the Indian reservations up there, and they have been able to stop some of the oil lines that they're building. They've had actually better luck than the First Nations on the Canadian side. So
Really?
I don't know what's happening there, but that's what I heard. The number is, this is a live call-in show. The number is 616-459-4881. If you have any questions or comments, please call us in. I have a T-shirt on that
Is that
was.
a loon?
It's a picture of a loon pulling the line out of, and that's the bridge.
And a trout.
And a trout, yep. And in the back of this T-shirt has 4 breweries.
We gotta go down lower.
4 breweries in Grand Rapids.
There you go.
Hopcat,
And then come closer to me.
Hopcat. How's that? Is that better?
Well, you're gonna have to be up a little bit.
The cameraman left.
If you stand up and Pablo,
Hey Pablo, put your camera on that. On my wife there.
Yeah, so it's the breweries.
Closer.
and pull it down to straighten it up so it can be readable if you pull your shirt down. All right, this is the kind of TV you don't see every day. All right, that's a good one. Can you zoom in on that?
No, I think
That's as zoomy as it gets.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, this is okay. I mean, this is cable TV, and this is a nonprofit, so this is okay. But these are the breweries that are sponsoring the Line 5 shutdown. It's Founders, Hopcat, Grand Rapids Brewery, and what's the other one? Vivant's.
Huh.
Now,
That's
if we've
good.
got 4 major breweries in this city supporting this, how come I'm not hearing anything from the city council or the county council on this?
I know, beer's become a big part of Michigan's economy. If we destroy our water, where are we gonna get the beer? I know we were selling all our water to Nestle too. It's like, oh boy.
What if we sell our water to Nestle and then make Nestle sell, have them tell Enbridge they gotta close it down?
Well, that'd be nice. The problem is we apparently can't tell corporations to do anything. And so they've got more rights than we do.
How do you get other counties involved?
What?
There is, if you go to the oil and water don't mix, they actually have information on how to do that. What people are doing is going to the counties and they're going to the counties and making, giving them information and telling them how to, asking them to make a proposal. There's some information, people I guess are writing letters to the editor. So there's some good information on how to do that. I'm just really surprised that more local governments aren't doing this. You guys have any questions on fracking or any other?
Yeah, let's talk about fracking. Let's talk about the political situation. Hillary Clinton is pro-fracking. Donald Trump is pro-fracking, right? Bernie Sanders has said that he will ban it.
Ban fracking, good.
Hillary is being courted even by the Koch brothers now, who say they don't believe she means any of that liberal social stuff that she says, but she's solid on issues of corporate eminent domain, I guess, basically. Eminent domain is what they're using on the XL pipeline.
Yeah.
Hillary was for the XL pipeline. She says she's against it now, but everybody knows she's just saying that. She pushed fracking all around the world, and now she says that it needs to be better regulated, but that she wouldn't ban it. And the Trump is like just frack the crap out of everything. Just frack it. I love fracking. Fracking is great.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton
But
actually
the
said...
Chinese are going to look at that and say, now that's an environmental disaster.
Oh, jeez. What a moron. Trump. But yeah, Hillary Clinton said yes. She came to Michigan, and I know that a lot of people... Bernie asked people in Michigan why they wanted to vote for Bernie, and I know a lot of people said...
Fracking?
Said that Hillary wants fracking. You know, she's out of touch with our values, and she actually comes to Michigan. In one of the debates, they asked her, "Would you approve fracking?" And she went into this thing. Yes, it has to be regular, and if we got to prove that these chemicals won't pollute, we got to do it better. And they asked Bernie, and Bernie just said no.
Yeah, no fracking.
No fracking.
And she's like, oh, we got to make sure these chemicals are safe. Under the laws that Cheney helped write, they don't even have to tell us what those chemicals are.
Yeah.
But we're finding out now that they're overflowing into rivers, and so iridium is one, and that's not good, is it? You're the chemical engineer.
I don't know what the effects of iridium are.
Well, it's radioactive, right?
I guess, I don't know.
But since we found this out with the EPA and the methane emissions that were measured incorrectly, is Hillary Clinton going to come out and say something about it?
She never does. She doesn't even say anything about all the election fraud in her favor. She's an enemy. She's an enemy of democracy. She's an enemy of the people and a puppet of the corporations. And they're shoving her down our throat against our will. And state after state has been nothing but shenanigans. We have a situation where we cannot control these out of control actors, these global corporations. It's like a form of feudalism. They're like warlords. They act on their own behalf, and damn the consequences, and damn the people, damn the environment, and damn the future.
Just to make profit.
Yeah, just for some money for them for today.
Yeah, I really think that Hillary Clinton is clueless.
Clueless? Oh, I think she knows what she's doing.
Somebody told me that she was a genius.
Who told you that? She's pretty smart.
She's smart. I wouldn't say she's a political genius. Bernie's a political genius. She's more of a Machiavellian monster.
Well, I think her husband is much smarter than her, but she's actually probably more dangerous.
He's more of a bumbler, but she's pretty bumbling. She can't even lie well. And she does it all the time. She lies when it doesn't even matter. It's like she just wants to keep in practice. which is like this pipeline. They don't need it. It can be shut down. The risks are so incredible. The money even they stand to lose, and yet they won't do it. It's almost as if to say, we don't care what happens to you or to your water or to your state. We're going to do this as long as we're making money on it.
Did I hear that, Bernie, they've counted 22 counties in California, and how many has he flipped? How many counties has he flipped now?
I haven't checked it out.
Last I heard.
Three counties.
Okay.
Yeah, he is gaining in California. As long as he doesn't drop out of the race, they have to keep counting. Well, we've got 5 minutes. Time's running out, folks. I don't know if you're going to get your call, and I hope we haven't driven anybody to despair tonight. Don't drink a glass of Roundup.
Yeah, I hope we haven't got you too depressed, but
It is a beautiful day.
we're wrapping it
Very
up.
beautiful. Beautiful. The Chinese are going to look at that and say, no, that's a beautiful day.
Okay.
Isn't there anything funny going on? Remember when Michelle Bachmann said walls work? The Chinese build a wall and they don't have any Mexicans in China. It proves that walls work. It's like, yeah, but they built a wall to keep out the Mongolians. The Mongolians just came around and said, thanks for building this wall, now it's ours. It's like America will not face any of its problems, and all the solutions that we come up with make things worse. As Kent Brockman said, it's just more proof that democracy doesn't work.
Oh, the organization that can give you all the information about Line 5, Enbridge Line 5, is called Oil and Water Don't Mix. .com, yes, or .org.
Oil and water don't mix. Oil and water don't mix.
Okay. Any last words, John?
No, I don't have any last words.
This isn't a firing squad.
Have a cigarette, a Bible. That's it. And when I was a kid, I used to swim in the Delaware River.
Oh my God.
And it was full of tar. And then when you came out, you had lumps of tar all over your arms and legs.
It never didn't do you any harm, right?
Yeah.
These kids these days, they want all of their streams without
Not very many
oil
people
in
went
them.
to swimming.
What's the river that runs through northern New York?
Hudson.
The Hudson River, yes. That was pretty polluted back in the 70s, and they cleaned it up.
Pete Seeger kept rising the boat back.
And New York was actually banned fracking. So there's no more
Well, they have
fracking.
banned fracking about over a year ago. It was just the governor's ban.